I get it. You're scrolling through endless options for a little CNC lathe and you start wondering if any of them will actually fit on that cramped bench in your garage without turning the whole thing into a pricey regret. You've probably already asked yourself whether the machine will actually hold up when you try to turn a delicate brass gear for a clock, or a tiny aluminum stub for a drone motor, and whether you'll end up paying for a piece of equipment that just sits there gathering dust. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and in the next few minutes I'll walk you through why the PROXXON MICROMOT 22245500, also marketed as the Torno PD400 equipped CNC, might be the sweet spot you're looking for, or why you might want to keep scrolling. First off, let's talk about the kind of work this machine is built for. The Micromot sits in the micro CNC niche, meaning it's designed for very small, precise turning operations. If you've ever tried to tighten a screw with a regular bench lathe and found the chuck too big, or you've spent hours trying to get a perfectly round miniature shaft with a hand-driven tool, this is the type of tool that was made for you. The whole unit is compact enough to sit on a standard workbench, and the built-in CNC controller means you can feed a simple code program and watch the tool move with a precision that would be hard to achieve manually. One of the features that sets this model apart is the ratchet function with a 72-tooth inner ring made of a high-alloy special steel. In plain English, that means the spindle can hold a tiny workpiece firmly while you're feeding it, without the usual micro-slip you sometimes see on lower-priced machines. I've seen hobbyists trying to turn a 2mm brass dowel and ending up with a wobbly finish because the spindle couldn't keep a grip. The high-alloy ring mitigates that risk, especially when you're doing multiple passes at low feed rates. It's a subtle detail, but in the world of miniature turning it can be the difference between a smooth, repeatable finish and a piece that's out of round. The lever switch for clockwise and counterclockwise rotation is another practical touch. Many entry-level CNC lathes force you to dive into the software to change direction, which can be a hassle when you're in the middle of a project and need to reverse quickly. With this lever, you just flick it and you're ready to go. No reboot, no recalibration. For anyone who's ever tried to machine a thread that needs a reverse cut, that convenience saves a few minutes per operation and keeps you from having to stop and rehome the machine. The shaft itself is forged from CRV, chromo-vanadium, steel and comes with an optimal surface protection coating. That coating isn't a marketing buzzword. It actually helps reduce wear when you're running abrasive materials like brass or mild steel. In everyday use, you'll notice the shaft staying smoother for longer, meaning fewer tool changes because the workpiece isn't getting unintentionally enlarged by a worn spindle bore. It also means you can run a little longer between maintenance sessions, which for a hobbyist is a big win, especially when you're juggling a few different projects on the same bench. Now, the 4-way microspeeder is something that people often overlook when they compare specs. Most mini CNC lathes give you a single-axis feed control and you have to juggle 2 separate knobs or levers for fine adjustments. The Micromot's microspeeder lets you move the carriage in 4 directions: forward, backward, left, right, using a single intuitive control. In practice, that translates into being able to nudge a tool just a few microns without having to stop the program or switch tools. If you've ever tried to finish a tiny dovetail slot and found the standard feed too coarse, this microspeeder gives you that micro-adjustability that a lot of other machines lack. All of that sounds great, but there are trade-offs you need to be aware of before you click Add to Cart. The first thing to keep in mind is the size of the work envelope. The Torno PD400's maximum swing over the bed is roughly 40 mm, and the distance between centers tops out at about 70 mm. That's perfect for jewelry components, small gears, and prototype parts, but if you ever need to turn a larger piece, say a 60 mm diameter aluminum rod, you'll quickly hit the limits. In other words, this isn't a universal lathe, it's a specialist tool that shines when the job fits its sweet spot. Another practical consideration is power. The motor is sized for micro operations, which means it can easily handle brass, aluminum, and even light plastics, but it will struggle if you try to take a deep cut in a harder material like stainless steel. Users have reported that the motor can stall if you ask it to remove too much material in one pass. The workaround, of course, is to take lighter passes and let the CNC do more passes, but that does increase.